Now, the time fight fans all across the globe have been waiting for. Even though I messed up, I still make it look good. It's your man, The Voice. In the opposite corner, my mano y mano, my verbal sparring partner, the person who decided to buck the trend and not match me today. Will's just right.
First of all, let's get this straight, boys. Okay, I'm the one that sets the swagger for this amazing show here that we do. Now, you are the man, the myth, the legend, the voice. You know, you got the quiet storm voice, but you know the swagger is Wilderness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another amazing episode of the main card with your swagger champion, Wilderness Ruffin, and The Voice. You see what I did there? Here we go. We have an amazing show for y'all today, man. We got a lot to get into. There's been a lot of breaking news within the past few days. And also, this week's major fight that we want to talk about, Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. But of course, first, let's go ahead and get into this breaking news with KOs and low blows. Boys, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's go. Now, I don't know what it is, but there's something in the water. And when you hear, I spent my whole life chasing something, not belts, not money, not headlines, but that feeling, the one you get when the world doubts you, but you keep showing up. Now that's Terrence Crawford. He was reflecting on the career that gave him everything, and in return, he gave the sport everything. He said, this isn't just another retirement announcement. This is literally the end of an era. Crawford leaves the ring as a 5-division world champ, a 3-time undisputed champion, and the first male boxer to win undisputed titles in 3 different weight classes. And he did it with swagger. We saw what happened with Canelo. Now, he capped it all with that monumental win, and it was a fight that drew over 41 million viewers and reminded everyone why he was the pound-for-pound king. He said, I fought for my family, I fought for my city, I fought for the kid I used to be, the one who had nothing but a dream and a pair of gloves. Now, that's just a quote, but it was also his mission statement. Now, Crawford's journey from Omaha to the biggest stages in boxing was built on sacrifice, discipline, and faith. And now he says, I'm stepping away from competition, not because I'm done fighting, but because I won a different kind of battle, one where you walk away on your own terms. Now, Voice, that's a mark of greatness that, you know, you can't dispute. So as we talk about the end of Bud Crawford's run, let's make it clear. We're not just talking about retirement. We're talking about a legacy and someone who many are arguing could be the greatest boxer of all time. That is, of course, unless you ask Bleacher Report, who doesn't even have Mike Tyson in the top 50. But I digress.
I understand.
You understand Mike Tyson not being in the top 50?
Mm-hmm.
Voice. Don't give me. Let's stick to this. Voice. Tell us more about Terrence Crawford's legacy and where he should truly rank pound for pound since Floyd Mayweather. And before you get done, I want you to think about this last question also. Does his legacy still need one more fight to be complete, like many are requesting?
Now, as far as where his legacy will stand, he'll go down as the GOAT, being GOTE, GOAT. He's the greatest of his era. He'll go down as one who, again, did things his own way, one who had to fight a lot of battles outside of the ring. The reason that many people are not putting more respect on the career of Bud Crawford, because I remember hearing someone say during this retirement time, well, he only beat 2 fighters. I was like, that's a little disingenuous. It's not fair to Kell Brook to say that. It's not fair to Sean Porter to say that. Now, did he beat all of the best in his weight class at his time? No, but that's because of the fights he was fighting outside of the ring. He was fighting for respect the whole time, fighting for respect from even his own promoters. His own promoter just let him walk. And when he did, that's when things really took off for Bud, though he was respectful in giving them honor, being top ranked in his video, as well as, I forget the first promoter he had, but he gave them some respect too. He fought everyone that he could fight. It's that the people that we wanted to see him fight were being protected. And we have seen that happen a lot lately, that those fighters that some fighters who, when they get in with some competition that's not in their organization, not under the same promotional banner, that they tend to lose. So, I'm just glad that he got his opportunity to show the world that he was the best. Now, you also asked about you. What was the second part of that question regarding his legacy?
There's some saying that he still needs one more fight.
He still needs one more. Who's he gonna fight? This is why he retired. He retired because there's nobody else out there for him to fight. I saw a picture saying, "Oh, we wanted to see you in Boots." That would have been a good fight, but it's gonna take Boots too long to get to where Bud is. So, it just doesn't make sense. He was going to fight Janabek, had Janabek not pop positive and beaten Lara recently, because he was like, okay, I can unify in another weight class and I can do it in 4 and be like Clarissa, because Clarissa has done it in 4, which is why I'm glad you said the only male fighter to do it in 3, because Clarissa has done it in 3, she's done it in 4. I'm not gonna touch that. She's done it in 4. I might as well.
You got a lot of feelings on Clarissa. We're gonna have to talk about
No, I love Clarissa Shields, but I have to be honest, it's a lot easier to do it at that level because there just aren't as many women fighting. Right. So it's much easier to do. And that's what I was going to say, but I wasn't trying to say, because I don't want to downplay what she's done, because regardless of whether it's a few women or not, she's still beating everybody by a mile. So salute to her. No, I love Clarissa Shields. But you can only fight the people that they were able to make fights for. And for all 42 of the fights that were able to be made, he was dominant.
Well, like I said, everyone talks about legacy, and I heard someone say recently that legacy is subjective, but I'm not sure how legacy can be subjective when you look at a fighter like Bud, who, like you said, he was limited based off of opportunities and people treating him like the boogeyman. But when he got those opportunities, like Jordan in the finals, he was undefeated. So, we can talk legacy, but sometimes the facts are the facts. Now, I've also heard recently people say that comparing him to Floyd, that they would take him over Floyd. So that's another conversation for another day. We don't have to get into it. There's another great fighter who's currently stepping away, although it's temporary. Ilia Topuria recently announced that he is temporarily stepping away from defending his title due to an ongoing legal issue of domestic abuse. And he's also spoken about his desire to begin a boxing career. But this isn't about any kind of injuries or about scheduling. This is kind of about life hitting harder than any opponent, which sometimes we forget that these boxers and combat fighters actually go through. Now, Topuria revealed in a statement that he's been subject to threats of false domestic violence claims unless financial demands were met. Now, in his own words, over the past several weeks, I've made difficult decisions to temporarily step away from defending my title. This was not a decision I took lightly. However, when circumstances arise that threaten your personal integrity, your family, and your reputation, there comes a point where you must address them directly. Now, the UFC has already moved forward, booking Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimbleton for the interim lightweight belt at UFC 324. But let's be clear, Ilia's absence leaves a vacuum. He's undefeated at 17-0. He's a champion who just months ago looked poised to dominate the division for years. Now, instead of defending his crown, he's having to defend his name. He stated, in recent months, I've been subject to severe and unacceptable pressure, including threats to decimate false allegations unless these demands were met. So this isn't fight, this is real life. And it's a reminder that the champions are humans first. But here's the ripple effect, boys. Some fans are divided. Some see this as a principled stand, a man protecting his family and his integrity. And others, like Shao Sonnen, argue the division can't wait and that Topuria should be stripped. Either way, the lightweight picture just got messier and the spotlight shifts to Gagey and Pimpleton while Topuria fights battles outside the cage. So, Voice, I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Also, the thoughts on the thoughts shared by Sonnen, which, you know, I understand it's all about trolling, but let's be honest here. This is real life, and whether we want to dispute it or not, put an interim tag or not, no one has beaten Ilia so far. What are your thoughts on this?
We were talking about this a little bit off air as far as Chael Sonnen's statements that Ilia should be stripped. Chael, because of his relationship with the UFC and his relationship specifically with Dana White, may have more information than we have regarding how long this is going to be. An interim title is already in play. Okay. Should it be a full-fledged title? Depends on how long he's going to be out. I look at two situations recently that were like this. You had, now, not just like this, but two situations where the champion's future was in doubt. One being Jamal Hill, when he had that freak accident, he was out due to injury. Instead of an interim title, he vacated. The same thing happened with the person who then won that vacated title, being Yuri Prochazka. He also had some stuff going on and decided, okay, I'm going to vacate the title. But for both of these men, Yuri specifically, I can't remember about Jamal. I think Jamal did come back and fight for the title. I think that's when Poatan just destroyed him at 300. I believe that was a fight. But Yuri also, when he vacated, he came back and immediately fought for the title, which most likely would be what happened if Ilia were to vacate. The interim title was put on the line weeks ago before Ilia said, okay, no, this is going to be longer than I thought. With that being said, him being now stripped, I don't know, but vacating, that may be, you know, one of the better things to do, because you don't want to hold up things while you're out. Is what you're dealing with serious? Yes. It's so serious that you had to say, hold on, wait, it's going to be longer. And based on some of the rumblings out there, it's pretty messy. And it may take like a while for this to be cleared for you. So for the sake of the fight game, vacating or being stripped may be the best thing. It just really depends on how long it's going to take. He's going to be out, 6 months, maybe a year. A year is pushing it. But, if he comes back and fights by the summer, I think all is well. If it's further into 2026, then he may want to decide to just step away. And because he is trying to take care of and shield his children, having the least amount of discussion about things is probably best.
I understand. Well, yeah, I mean, I know we always look at, wins and losses in and outside of the ring or the cage. But the most important thing here is that he's able to get his personal life situated first and then come back to us. He's still an undefeated fighter. So wishing the best for Ilia and his family in this situation, and may everything come out as it needs to come out.
Absolutely. Now you heard the music change, and you know that it is time for us to talk pro wrestling. Today's recording really has a theme of retirement and resignations. We've already talked about Bud's retirement. We talked about the fact that Ilia is stepping back temporarily and maybe needs um, to rescind his title. Well, Mick Foley did rescind his. He just said, "Look, I'm done." And here's a statement that he made via X. While I've been concerned about the WWE's close relationship with Donald Trump for several months, especially in light of his administration's ongoing and cruel, inhumane treatment of immigrants and pretty much anyone who looks like an immigrant, reading the president's incredibly cruel comments in the wake of Rob Reiner's death is the final straw for me. I no longer wish to represent a company that coddles a man so seemingly void of compassion as he marches our country towards autocracy. Last night I informed the WWE Talent Relations that I would not be making any appearances for the company as long as this man remains in office. Additionally, I will not be signing a new Legends deal when my current one expires in June. I love WWE, will always treasure my time with them, and I am deeply appreciative for all the opportunities they afforded me. But in the words of Popeye the Sailor, I stands all I can stand, and I can't stands no more. Now, many were repulsed by Trump's comments about Reiner, and I definitely applaud Foley for taking a stand. But, like, honestly, what will this do to pro wrestling? Like, will there be any impact?
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. My opinion is probably not gonna be popular. While I appreciate Mick Foley taking a stand on this and him when it comes to political and things of human rights and stuff, he's always on the right side. However, Donald Trump has been in the Hall of Fame for Lord knows how long. On top of that, there are people who are praising him for this announcement, which is understandable. I guess my question and where it breaks for me is, what about the things that happened with Vince McMahon? What about everything else that Trump has done since then? That I guess this was the final straw. So my question is, what made this to be? And while I understand the significance of the comments that Trump has made, my question is, why was this the breaking point when there were so many other breaking points there? But I digress. Let me continue to put on my journalism hat and let me be honest. Now, his criticism was directed at WWE's ties to Trump and not McMahon, which a lot of people were upset about because people were like, well, now you're contradicting yourself because what about this situation? Now, as far as his statements, it's kind of a bigger moment. Like, it's not just another headline in the wrestling world, it's a statement of principle. So for decades, Mick Foley has been synonymous with WWE. He's a Hall of Famer, Mankind, Cactus Jack, Dude Love. He helped define the biggest era of professional wrestling. But now with him stepping away, you kind of look at it like this is the pivotal moment for WWE because I think it's more TKO than WWE from everything that I've read. Because rarely do wrestling legends take any kind of political stance on that. So this move by Foley is a highlight of the tension between WWE's current business model and performers' personal values. We look at everything that happened with Hogan, when he passed and how he was received. So while it is a major cultural moment for WWE as a whole, I'm not sure how much it changes for the IWC, which is the internet wrestling community, because so many other things are, I guess, looked over or glossed over. But you've had so many people speak out in recent days about Trump's comments about Reiner's death, and they were widely condemned. So his frustration is like a broader frustration for WWE's willingness to stay close to Trump despite the backlash. Paul Levesque, Triple H, is actually a part of Trump's cabinet as far as I believe physical fitness.
Mhm.
So there's direct ties there. Many fans have actually praised him, and many wrestlers have also praised him, calling it courageous and consistent with his reputation because he's one of wrestling's most authentic figures.
Mhm.
But the question is now, how is WWE and TKO going to respond? Because you have a major wrestler who goes to all the conventions, who does the signings, who does the interviews, and now you have one of the faces of your legends has decided to step back because of your current, I guess, political beliefs. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't want to make any kind of mistake about it. I completely appreciate what Mick has done. The question of so many people is, why was this the breaking point? I've seen people in preparing for the show, I've seen people on Twitter asking, why is Trump still in WWE's Hall of Fame? And everything goes and ties back to TKO and the current business model, which for years we've heard the same thing about UFC and their relationship also. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
Okay. Well, it definitely will be. I know that, at least from a TKO perspective and the MMA fan base, well, number one, they love Trump. But that's a whole different story. It seems as if the wrestling fan base is not, or I should say, there's a vocal portion that is not down with Trump, where you don't see that as much with MMA, but because of their relationship with being TKO, their relationship with Trump, I definitely get it.
I mean, I want to say that the one thing is, it's not to say that there's a huge difference, but there is a difference between the UFC fan base and the WWE fan base. There are much more. You can tell by the conversations and by the fan base. There are much more progressives on WWE side and compared to TKO side. But that's also considering how long UFC has been a part of TKO and their business model and their thoughts, and the fact that Dana White has always been vocal about his feelings. While Vince McMahon has invited Trump and he's been in the Hall of Fame, it's not something that you saw a lot. There wasn't a whole lot of politics in WWE talked about at one point. It was just something that people knew about based off of backstage and Twitter comments, or sometimes you got to see wrestlers sharing their views. So it wasn't as, I guess you could say, it wasn't as out there in WWE in comparison to UFC, but it was there. So it's we talked about this before with last week with John Cena's comments. Being a wrestling fan, the older you get as an adult, you literally have to reconcile what you're willing to deal with, what you see, and how you deal with it. So,
okay. Well, speaking of Cena and reconciliation, there are a number of fans that are not happy with how the last time ended. Michael Cole said that pro wrestling defeats sports entertainment when Cena tapped. Was him, and I even heard just before the show Cena speaking about his feelings regarding the tap. Was it the right thing to do?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So as a fan and someone who of course knows how this is run, I understand why it was done. The goal is to make Gunther look like the boogeyman, essentially. Gunther is supposed to be what Brock Lesnar was, but you can actually put it on a higher level because Gunther is old school pro wrestling. So Cena tapping out to the boogeyman, you saw it on Monday Night Raw after it happened, the boos that he got and the reactions that came about it.
Yeah, it had to get security.
Yeah, now do I agree? No. I felt like if anything should have happened, I would have loved to see it play out in the same manner of the infamous Bret Hart and Stone Cold match, where Stone Cold was just not going to give up. Instead, he passes out. It put the extra heat on Bret Hart, but it also allowed Stone Cold to save face in the situation because it's like, I don't quit. Now, people will say, oh, John Cena never gave up. He actually has. There's at least 5 matches where Cena has given up to the likes of, I want to say, Chris Jericho, Kurt Angle, and the man who we should name Chris Benoit, of course. So Cena has given up, but not while he was at this level, which I think is what tears fans apart. And you even saw some of the wrestlers' responses in real time and how it happened, and they were upset about it. So as a wrestling fan, you have to understand, as he goes away, this is his way of doing business to forward the business, and Cena's very big on that. Cena has a very Vince McMahon style of wanting to do business in that manner, even though we've seen him destroy Nexus in other careers, but that's neither here nor there. That's not what we're talking about. But him tapping out was a way to further progress WWE's story and further progress the ascendance of Gunther. So people are going to be upset. You have to allow them to be upset because professional wrestling does resonate with the feelings. Now, the Triple H got booed out the building, but of course, they're doing it, as they like to say, what's best for business.
Yeah. Now, because I go way back when it comes to the Ultimate Fighting Championship, like I can remember watching UFC 1, and in doing that and learning about jiu-jitsu, there are 3 things that can happen with a submission. You can tap, you can snap, which, if it is a joint manipulation lock, or if it is a choke like this, you can take a nap. And him taking a nap, I think story-wise, would have gotten more out of that, because hey, he didn't give up in his last match. He didn't give up. He lost, but he didn't give up. And I don't know, maybe it was best that he did it because he needs to show the importance of moving on. Time will be the ultimate judge of that decision. But there were 2 wrestlers specifically that got a lot of heat from this overall event. One being Gunther, which we talked about, and the other being Jey Uso. Who came out better after Saturday night's main event, Gunther or Jey?
I don't understand the hate that Jey Uso gets. Like, Jey Uso was literally who he was when people cheered him. That's my problem with the internet wrestling community. Is it's like having your favorite beverage. The beverage is popular, and then one day is where everybody's like, just because it's cool. Oh, I don't like the beverage. Jey Uso was good with me. I'm hoping that we get Crash Out Jey Uso to return, because I feel like there's even more story to tell. But it's interesting that you brought up Jey Uso and Gunther, because if you can also remember, Jey Uso tapped out Gunther at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe there's a story there. Maybe something happens. I think ultimately what happens in this Gunther situation, why the tapping out makes it even better, is because now everyone's going to look for someone specific to take out the Boogie Monster. That's essentially what it is. Now, the difference between Brock Lesnar and Gunther is we've seen Gunther tap out. That's also where the disconnect comes from. So WWE has a lot to get together. They have a lot to fix. Triple H has a bunch of holes right now that he has to patch up and get together. He tried to play it off like, oh, it was fine, but WWE has a problem. In my mind, WWE has a problem. The some of the stories they're telling and the way that they're telling them, it's not being done in the manner that it should, to where there's a continuation and it constantly makes sense. So hopefully we'll see that going into one of the most popular times of the year, Royal Rumble.
All right. Well, when we get back, we're going to talk about what very well may be the most talked about fight of 2025, being between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua. Keep it locked for the main card.
And welcome back. Voice, it's time to get into it, the meat and potatoes of it. Now, of course, this isn't an AI simulation. This is Judgment Day. That's Jake Paul talking about stepping into the ring with Anthony Joshua. And you know what? For once, that hyperbole might not be too far off. Because this fight isn't just about size, reach, or records. It's about the audacity, Voice. You saw Charlie Murphy one time in his skit say, it's the audacity of it all. That's exactly where it is. Jake Paul, the disruptor, the self-made spectacle, is walking into Miami against a man with 28 wins, 25 of those by knockout. Now, Anthony Joshua, the two-time heavyweight champion, the technician, the man who said flat out, if I can kill you, I will. That's not trash talk. That's not hype. That's a reminder of what happens when you step into the ring with someone who's lived this life, who's carried belts, who's fought giants. This ain't Jake Paul's normal fight. Joshua is 6'6", 243 pounds. Paul, he's 6'1", 216. The math alone tells you that this is David versus Goliath. But Jake Paul does not care about the math. He cares about moments. And he cares about proving that when he said, when I beat Anthony Joshua, every doubt disappears. And he means it. Now, Voice, we talk about this all the time. Here's one thing. Combat sports thrives on unpredictability. It thrives on the chaos, on the possibility that the impossible might just happen. Jake Paul calls it war. Anthony Joshua calls it his job, and the rest of us, we're calling it cinema. So let's go to war, as they like to say, and put on a show for the fans, is what Paul said. Joshua's response, calm, cool, clinical, we're licensed to kill. So here we are. It's the Flash versus the Foundation, the chaos versus control, and the YouTuber turned boxer against the heavyweight who has helped to carry the sports on his shoulder in his era. So, Voice, what do we make of this spectacle that is Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua?
It's just that. It's a spectacle. It's a circus. This fight was always made to be a circus fight. It's just that the tables have been turned. It was a circus fight when it was Jake versus Tank, because there was no way that this little bitty man, being Tank Davis, was fighting this huge guy in Jake Paul. Now the tables have been turned. Is the discrepancy as large? No, it's not, because Tank is probably like 5'5". Well, I guess height wise it's about the same. Tank probably about 5'5", Jake being 6'1". You know, you're looking at, no, that's a much bigger height discrepancy. However, I applaud Jake because he is a true showman, and everything he's doing is him being a showman. The fact that he's willing to take this kind of risk really should give him a lot of cred within the boxing community, because the story that has been told is you keep fighting people who can't fight, and the one person you fought who could fight, being Tommy Fury, you lost to. You know, you fought Nate Diaz, he's not a boxer. You fought Mike Tyson, he's an old man. You fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who's been washed for quite some time. You know, you fought Anderson Silva, who is not a boxer, but has beaten the likes of Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. You know, you fought Tyron Woodley, who, though trained boxing for many, many years, again, he was not a boxer. Is he a hitter? Yes, but he was not a boxer. So in him fighting a real boxer, someone who has the ability to do something to him, hey, bravo. For Joshua, what is a light touch and what should be an easy payday comes with a lot more pressure than it would have had he fought like he planned on doing about a couple weeks ago. You know, he actually, I want to say last week, that he was scheduled to be on that card in Stockton. If not that one, then the one that was 2 weeks ahead of that he was supposed to fight on. He needed a soft touch because of his elbow surgery, and he needs to get in and just kind of knock some of the rust off. The problem is, if you take your time knocking off the rust and you don't beat him as quickly as you defeated Francis Ngannou, now it kind of brings you down a peg. So he's in a no-lose situation, but he really has a lot to lose, because if he doesn't look as good as we believe that he should look, though supposedly documents have been signed for a 2-fight deal between he and Fury, not Tommy Fury, but his big brother, the Gypsy King. If he doesn't, again, do him like he did Francis, or worse, being AJ, it's going to take some more luster off of someone whose shine has already been diminished by being knocked out by Andy Ruiz and now by Daniel Dubois.
I mean, I don't really know how to feel here, because there's a lot of people, voice, who actually on social media believe that Jake Paul could pull off the upset only because it's Anthony Joshua. What do you make of that?
I make of it that, I mean, does anyone have a puncher's chance? Yes. Can Jake Paul punch? Yes, he can. But let's look at the people that he has defeated with his punch. Again, he defeated Tyron Woodley, who was a much smaller man. That's another reason why people are like, dude, this shouldn't even be. He defeated him, who was a much smaller man. Did he knock out or knock down Tommy Fury? No, he did not. Did he knock out or knock down Nate Diaz? No, he did not. Did he knock out or knock down a 60-year-old Mike Tyson who fought with a brace on his knee? No, he did not. Did he knock out or knock down Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.? No, he did not. So though he does have power, though he can knock people out, much of that has to do with the level of competition. When he's fighting people who really can't box, yeah, he knocks them out. Did he knock down Anderson in the last round? But it wasn't enough to even really hurt Anderson. I mean, he got knocked down, but he was able to continue to fight. It wasn't, a big deal. So if he couldn't do this with someone like a Tommy Fury, I find it hard to believe that he's going to be able to do it against Joshua. Now, granted, we know that Joshua is chinny, but when Joshua has gotten knocked out, it's been when he has been overly aggressive. I don't know that Jake Paul has the skills necessary to do what Andy Ruiz and Daniel Dubois did.
Well, there you have it. That is this week's biggest fight. Make sure you all follow the voice and make sure you tune in and tap in so that you can see how he scores the fight. If it ends up being a prolonged fight, and also coming back to us just to kind of get a synopsis, just in case we decide to cover it if it's controversial, to let you know exactly our thoughts on that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Now, what we do is that here at Main Card is we give you the meat and potatoes with everything that you need, but then we slide you those sides, the mashed potatoes, the macaroni and cheese, the yams. This is what we like to call the final fights. These are the fights that don't make the primary card of the main card, but they are fights that you should know about. So what should we be looking for this week?
Well, I spoke about Anderson Silva and Tyron Woodley and their relationship with Jake Paul. Well, that relationship continues as Tyron steps in last minute for Chris Weidman, where Anderson and Chris were going to have their trilogy bout this time in the boxing ring instead of being in the UFC octagon. Weidman could not make it. He wasn't able to be fit enough physically for this fight. So supposedly off of a movie set, in steps Tyron Woodley to save the day, just like he saved the day for Jake Paul when he got knocked out because Tommy Fury couldn't fight or something happened. So he stepped in and saved the day. He steps in and saves the day for this card, taking on Anderson Silva. I'm just interested in that because of my love for both men. I don't expect this to be a good fight at all. If Anderson were to knock Tyron out, I wouldn't be surprised. If Tyron were to really put on a competitive fight, I will be pleasantly surprised. You also have, and this is really what Jake Paul's sweet spot is, he brings all of this carnival, all of this circus, but at the circus, just like you may go to the circus for the lions and the people who are doing the stunts on motorcycles, jumping over things, but then you get a chance to see the skilled acrobats and the rope walkers and the people on the flying trapeze. You're like, man, they are so phenomenal. And that's what Jake Paul does. He brings the circus with himself, but then underneath, he has some phenomenal athletes that get spotlighted, specifically women. You have 4 women's fights on this card. All 4 of them are title fights. Alicia Baumgartner is going to be in action. Caroline Dubois, Danny Dubois' sister, will be in action. Yokasta Valle will be in action. And then you have Shernika Johnson and Amanda Gaye for the undisputed title, not just a title fight, but an undisputed title fight at 118. Obvious Griffin is also on this card, and over in Africa, the PFL's final will take place on Saturday. What about wrestling wise? Outside of SmackDown, is there anything that we should be looking out for in the coming weeks?
Nothing this week. Although next week, AEW has an amazing card titled AEW World's End, which is going to be a stacked card after last night's reveal that MJF has returned, and he will actually be in that 4-way match for the AEW World Championship. On top of that, I believe you have the Babes of Wrath versus Athena and Mercedes Moné for the Tag Team Championships, and Chris Statlander and Jamie Hayter for the AEW Women's World Championship. And you have the Continental Classic. Now that's going to be for December 27th. That's going to be taking place in Chicago at the Hoffman Estate. So if you're an AEW fan, be on the lookout for that. AEW has had an amazing year. Shout out to Sports Illustrated, actually provided them for a number of awards, including Wrestler of the Year, with Hangman Page, who's actually going to be in that match.
Okay, cool.
Awesome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for tuning in to the main card each week. It's always smoke o'clock when your man Wildress and his boys get together. We bring you the best of combat sports, but that's not all. Here at MTMV Sports, we provide you with a smorgasbord of everything you're looking for. You got Not the Same. Shout out to Miss Melva. Shout out to Voice with Time Out. There's a number of different shows. Full 94. We give you everything that you want in sports, and we provide it to you not only here on YouTube, but on every podcast that you might have, whether it's Spotify or Apple. We're all there, so make sure you like, share, and subscribe with us. Voice, take us out.
Until next time, fight the good fight of faith.
What's going on, family? It's your man Wildress.
And it's your man, the myth, the legend, the voice.
And you just finished watching the main card on the MTMV network.
Yeah, for more great shows just like this, smash the subscribe button and keep fighting the good fight.